This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Why this day? Isn't he the creator of all days? Let's talk about that. Hi everyone, welcome to Manna for Thought. Psalm 118 verse 24 says, "This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." But what does that mean? God is the creator of all the days. So why that day? In order to gain a better understanding, we need to read more of the scripture and recognize that this psalm has not been attributed to any particular person in the Bible. But there are some theologians who believe that the psalmist is King David. So let's start by reading from verse 21. And it says, "I will praise thee, for thou hast heard me, and art become my salvation." Right here, the psalmist openly praised God for the answer and the salvation. What is salvation? To be delivered, to be saved, to be set free. The psalmist is given thanks because whatever he asked God for, he answered, and with his delivering power. Verse 22 says, "The stone which the builders refused is become the head of the stone of the corner." We don't know what the personal experience the psalmist might have had that led to these words. It would appear that there was some form of rejection, and the people who rejected the psalmist, he became their cornerstone. But what is a cornerstone? It was an important stone that held two rows of stones together in a corner, or stabilized the stones at the foundation or elsewhere. The cornerstone was usually one of the largest, the most solid, and the most carefully constructed of any in the edifice. The Bible describes Jesus as the cornerstone that his church would be built upon. This verse of scripture is one of the most quoted in the New Testament. The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke record Jesus referring to this passage as finding its fulfillment in him. He was the cornerstone. It was also referenced in 1 Peter, Acts 4, and Ephesians 2, which clearly declares him, Jesus, to be the foundation of the church. Verse 23 says, "This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes." The psalmist attributed their victory to the Lord. It was amazing. It was extraordinary. They've never seen anything like it. How many of us have had this type of experience with God? Verse 24, "This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." It is true in the general sense, that the Lord makes every day. There is no reason to rejoice. Okay, there is reason to rejoice and be glad in every day. Yet specifically, this day that the psalmist mentioned was the day that the Lord became his salvation, or their salvation. Not only was he delivered, but he became the cornerstone to all the naysayers and all the people who rejected him. Have you ever been rejected? Not a great feeling, is it? This is why some theologians would believe that perhaps it was purely a prophetic statement, because it certainly was fulfilled in the work of Jesus. Matthew 21:42 says, "Jesus saith unto them," did he never read in the scripture reference in the Old Testament? "The stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes." Reciting or repeating the same scripture from Psalm 1:18. He was rejected by the Pharisees as the Son of God who came to bridge the gap between God and man. but they would soon recognize why he came and why he died, to become the ultimate and the final sacrifice, the perfect sacrifice for our sin, taking the punishment that we deserve. 3 days later, Jesus rose from the dead, providing his victory over sin and death. Rightfully so. I am grateful for every single day that the Lord has given me. But when I say this is the day that the Lord hath made, I am commemorating the day that Jesus delivered me out of sin, when he became my salvation, when he became my strength, and when he became my foundation. I pray that you know Jesus and that he is the foundation of your life and that he is your cornerstone. I'm Allison Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on Manna